Hi, it's Andy Heald here from the Heald family, still trying to go our different way, and still in Greece. So middle February, and it's we're nearing the end actually, and now we are looking to return to England. Yeah, it's time. Even if the Schengen agreement and Brexit weren't telling us that, I think maybe it's time to go back to England and see what the next chapter of our adventure going a different way looks like. But before we do leave Greece, I really wanted to explore some of the things that I've been reflecting on about why we have stayed here and why we've stayed here so long, and stayed here so long in lockdown. Because actually, amazingly, we have learned some things about freedom living in this lockdown, and that we have had freedoms in this lockdown by choosing to go a different way that I don't think we would have had otherwise. Well, as you see behind me, these are pretty amazing gates actually, and we are very grateful especially when we arrived here, to fit our lovely, beautiful motorhome behind them. She is a very tight fit, but there is enough room for her. And that was a delight because, of course, there's two sides to that. Two sides to those gates and the high fences around us in this beautiful property and garden. It stops people from getting in. The lockdown laws may stop us from going out very much and for specific reasons, but inside we feel safe. There is a security here that those gates give us at least the impression of. I mean, it would be pretty tough to get Faith out of them. It took us an hour to get her in, even without that. So, but it's not just for the motorhome, of course, is it? It's for the rest of us. And those gates, from the outside, this is a fortress. And from the inside, well, does it look like a prison? Maybe in these lockdown circumstances. We arrived on the 6th of November. Lockdown started on the 7th, and we began our time here then, and now it's middle of February, and we're still here with this blazing sun around us, because we felt it right to stay. Actually, other countries have had more freedoms than we have had. France, Italy, even England, although England is currently in a strict lockdown as we speak. Spain, even. So we could have gone somewhere else. We're still permitted to travel. Certainly, even in the pandemic, travel is permissible in some places, and we are now. But we chose to stay here behind these walls. But why? So why did we stay? I mean, I reckon it's pretty clear from behind me, this picture, and it doesn't always look like this. It did snow here earlier this week, and with a ridiculous amount of snow, the likes they've not seen here since 1934. But yeah, the weather, the space we have, inside these safe, secure walls that we see around us, and the fences, reasonably, not overlooked. I don't think there's many people in that property behind us at this time of year. We've had the freedom to be outside because the weather hasn't constricted us very much, if at all. We've had the freedoms for us all to go and play basketball, or to kick a football around, or to learn how to cycle a bike, as Isabella has done since we've been here. And actually, even we can ride around this garden because it's big and safe. I don't have to watch them all the time because they're not in an open land or an open space, and they're allowed to, because this is the property, this is our home at the moment, and so therefore legally we're allowed to do that, and the girls can have those freedoms that they could never have done on our suburban estate back in Sussex before we came here. You couldn't even cycle a bike around our garden. It was too small for that, and the shape was all wrong, and you could barely cycle safely on the streets because of the rat runs around us as well. So we have stayed partly because of those things, but that is because of the choices that we made to get here. Now, I said something about the outside. This place looking from the outside like a secure fortress, and from the inside it could look like a prison because we don't have the freedom to go out driving around, even to the shops. They're not open other than grocery stores. Grateful I am for the fact that we do have grocery stores and a market. The market's once a week, but the grocery stores are open every day apart from Sundays, that we can go to whenever we like, and it's a 5-minute walk just through there. There's a gate. Let me show you. There's a gate. Get out through the gate, and it's 5 minutes walk through that gate. Amazing, isn't it? Right? What a provision that is. And I think that's the thing, you see, provision. Where does it come from? For me, I thought I'd found God a long time ago, actually, and let him be in charge of, the decision making in my life, but that just doesn't come true after a while. I found security in my job and my regular salary. I found security in the home, shelter over my head because we bought a house and we paid our mortgage every month. But actually, those things which look like the security of those gates at the front of this house protecting us, and the education for our children being in a really good school, actually I think became prisons of our own making after a while. And I'm glad we got to kick up the backside to do something different and experience life, geography, places, cultures, people, but most importantly our relationship with God in a different way. I think we've learned that what we perceived were freedoms of the ownership of our own home, the right to an education and the provision of it, because we paid our taxes. UK society set up that way. The provision of being able to have a house over our head because we had enough money to pay a mortgage every month were amazing things, and they are freedoms. But after a while, for us, they became things that I think were holding us back. And until we were loosed from them when we left England 18 months ago, we didn't know that. We didn't know that at all, because we saw them from the inside, much as looking at this place and thinking, oh, this is great from the inside. There's so much here, and there really is so much here. We didn't have the freedom for our children to be able to make fresh lemonade from the fresh lemons that grow here in the garden, or to be making our own olives that are now, salting and being prepared as they have been for several months from the, grown from the trees behind us, or to make marmalade from the clementines and tangerines, sorry satsumas, that also grow in this wonderful garden, to eat fresh spinach and something called horta regularly as well, because again they're grown here on this property. We didn't have those kind of freedoms because we were trapped in a particular box, a really nice box, but a box nonetheless, on our very suburban estate with its small garden back in the UK. We've had the freedom to experience new things, and the freedom, by changing the provision of how we have chosen our children's education, we haven't been constricted by the 9 till 3 time that locked us into. We've been able to go to places and have more of an empirical education experience. And even here in this lockdown, when we haven't been able to do that, we have been able to allow our eldest time to lie in, and I think get a better day out of her actually, because she's had that better rest that she needs. Also, we've been able to allow her, the space to explore new things, like her creativity. She is a marvel, turning into an absolute marvel in the kitchen, and being able to allow her to bake and things that we didn't have the space to do in our motorhome for the approved time before here. We've been able to allow her to do that here. But even the lifestyle that we led in England didn't really allow us the time to do that. So by being freed from the more rigid structures of our jobs and the children's education and the need to pay the mortgage every month, we have experienced different freedoms here. Part of it is the freedom to choose, the freedom to be flexible. And I think that we are now more flexible, more adaptable, and more, more capable of being free, because we've got a different perspective on what freedom looks like. Over the last couple of weeks, this phrase, prisons of our own making, has been in my head. And I just wonder how many of them we were living in beforehand. We turned these objects of security and stability into things that were holding us back, were caging us in. I think for the people that now God wants us to be, who we are. You see the bars on the windows, you see the bars on the gates and the railings. Yeah, they have a place, actually, for protection in some respects, but they could be, for another purpose. And I think we have placed some bars on our lives that actually began to cage us and prevent us from the future that we could have in front of us, because we were a bit too fearful. Now there's fear itself is a cage that I know that I lived in for a long time. But now I don't have that so much, and I'm very pleased to be able to take a different perspective and a different view, because I can now look at life a different way, and I can think, okay, what can I do? What is the vision now that may come to pass, because I'm not held back in that cage anymore? a couple of weeks ago, we were exhausted from the 6 weeks of intense road schooling. Yes. Why? Because we put structures in place. Structures of, right, we'll get up, we'll do exercise, we'll do some study of God's kingdom, we'll do some study of mathematics and English, and etc, etc, etc. And then one morning I woke up and went for a walk to the shops, and I thought, stop! There's a voice in my head. Stop, Andy, and be kind to yourself. We were exhausted. Now, we tried to, I guess, parallel English school holidays a little bit now, because we're not going anywhere else. We're not really tied into the Greek holidays in any way, but we were to the English, kind of our, social relationships and things with England. But actually, we're not. And so rather than dragging ourselves out and burning ourselves out for another 4 days, we just stop there and then. Why? Because we can. And we'll pick up when we're ready. That's not going to hold the girls back. We were trapped by this word called behind. We felt that our children were lagging behind. Now, I don't know what kind of benchmark we were setting ourselves. And behind what? I don't know what that was. I don't, as far as I'm aware, they can read well. Even Isabella, who's learning to read, they speak well. They have amazing cultural and geographical experience of parts of Europe. They have learnt to speak Spanish as well. What are they behind in exactly? I don't know. But that word, I think, was spoken over us, Rachel and I, throughout our lives. Oh, you're getting behind, or you'll get behind. And so the fear of being behind, I think, was a prison of our own making, or in danger of becoming one. Thankfully, because we have this life that we are able to choose to lead a different way, we stopped. We feel freer because of it. And, we've taken some time off and had a half-term break and made things look a little different, even though it's still just the 5 of us. And we will enable the girls to move on with their studies when we're able to help do them as well, rather than trying to burn ourselves out to the ground. Where does that leave us now? It leaves me grateful. It leaves me grateful that I don't have to make the same choices because I'm not hemmed in by the same structures around me. Mortgages, homes, property ownership, education, schools, they are great things, and they work really well for some people a lot of the time, but perhaps they don't work for all of us all of the time. They certainly aren't working for us right now. Yes, currently been living in a lovely house, an amazing provision, but it's been more affordable than we were experiencing in England, and we've eaten incredibly fresh food while we've been here. We've had the freedom to choose, and as I think we are now more malleable, I mentioned before, now we're like the potter's clay. We're not a rigid structure that might have to be snapped and broken before it can be changed, or smashed or reground into dust. No, I think we can be more flexible and adaptable, and in the new world that we're going to have to live in, all of us, because of the way that this virus is changing our societies, I think we'll all need to adapt, and I think we're well prepared for that, because we took a risk, we took a punt, we felt inspired to leave. And why? Well, because I think we heard the voice of God. We heard the voice of God and we found freedom. And I read in the Bible that it says, where the Spirit of the Lord, the Spirit of God is, there is freedom. So I wanted to keep finding that and keep looking for that, because I still want to retain these freedoms. Because even under lock and key, so to speak, house arrest, so to speak, for the last 14 weeks, I still found new freedoms, and I still hope we will find them in the new way. I want to be moulded. I want to experience joy and peace, and righteousness, justice, as we return to England and see what the new chapter of our lives look like. I don't know if we will travel or not. We don't know that, but we do know we've had the opportunity to get to know God better, because we've actually moved beyond trusting the salary that he'd given us and the home that he'd given us, to still have food on our table, a roof over our heads, and time with one another. And that has been an amazing part of this experience. So as we move on and begin to plan the horrifically complicated journey back to England over the next week or so, and leave within the next 10 days or so, I think, we will hope to find new freedoms as we traverse back to the UK. And I hope you'll still stay with us for the journey. My experiences is this: I have found God, a new relationship with God, and a new trust in him, and not a trust in the structures around me for the things that I need. And I want to keep on exploring what that journey ahead of us, myself personally, the rest of my wonderful family, and see what that looks like in the future. Thanks for listening. Speak to you soon. Take care.